Welcome to our Happy Fit Fusion video. Let's get warmed up, starting with some shoulder rolls, shrugging those shoulders around and back, tracking through a full range of motion, and then forward. Make sure you're taking some nice deep breaths while you do all of the activities in this video. And then take some nice deep breaths overhead. Good, and then reaching side to side. Remember, breathing is really important with any kind of exercise, so make sure you're taking nice deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling through the activity the entire time. Feel that rib cage lift away from the hip as you reach up to the side. Alright, readjust the shoulder blades, bring yourself back down to the mat. Next we're going to work on some upper back mobility here. So just rounding out the upper back, keeping the lower back pretty neutral, and then extend the other direction as far as you can go. Round and extend. Nice deep breaths again while you're moving through that range of motion in the upper back. Next we're going side to side with the torso, so trying to keep the hips and legs square and reaching that shoulder up and over towards the opposite hip. Now adjust your position so that your knees are a little bit wider, you're a little bit more stable. Put one hand right under the chest, and then twist and open up that chest, going side to side with a really nice, gentle upper back twist. Alright, sit yourself back into the child's pose, take a nice deep breath, and then rock yourself forward. We're going to do push-ups, and then sitting back to the child's pose each time you do a push-up. This is a really fun way to learn how to do push-ups. Do one push-up, and then push back into the child's pose. Alright, now if you want to make it more challenging, you can do push-ups from your toes, and again, just push back into the child's pose each time, in between those push-ups, keeping those elbows close to work on the triceps a little bit more. Alright, next, let's bring ourselves up to a standing position. Nice deep breath. And then take another deep breath, and then this time sit down into that chair pose, holding yourself into a half squat, sitting down into that invisible chair, breathing up overhead, reaching the arms out and forward as you fold into a standing forward bend. Breathe up, inhale, exhale as you sit back down into that chair, and just alternating back and forth between the chair sit or half squat and then a forward bend to stretch out the hamstrings. Remembering always to breathe. Nice deep breath, inhale, exhale and fold. Inhale, exhale and sit. And right here we're going to hold it for a few more seconds longer than with the other ones. There we go, let it up. And now we're going to add a little twist here. So if the twist isn't comfortable, just come back to that static chair hold. But if it is comfortable, you're going to rotate to the side, place your elbow on your opposite knee, and just make a nice straight line from your foot all the way up to your elbow. Make sure all the bones are really stacked, one on top of the other. And breathe in every time you're in the middle, and then exhale into the twist. And here, finish with a forward fold. Deep breath up. Alright, we're coming back down to the mat, walking forward, holding a front plank, which is just basically a push-up position without doing the push-up. Next, you can walk your hands back a little bit, stretch out that upper back, bend at the hips into that downward facing dog, and then push forward again into that front plank. So move your hands as you need to get yourself comfortable in that nice aligned position. And Make sure your upper back is really straight when you're doing the downward facing dog. That's the most important part. You can bend your knees a little bit if you need to relieve some of the strain on the back. And then sit down into the child's pose. Alright, next we're doing some hip mobility. So you're going to lift the knee up and out to the side, pushing it back around and then down to the middle. And then reverse those circles, so push back first, bring it out wide, and then down again to the center. Think about stirring the pot. The bone in the upper leg is going to be stirring around in a nice big circle in that hip joint. And again, reverse those circles after about 4 or 5 repetitions in one direction. And sit back to the child's pose. This is a very good relaxation, bridging kind of move. Alright, now's a good time to get a glass of water. I'm just going to take off a layer here. It's getting warm. Hopefully you're getting warm as well, because that was the warm-up. Alright, deep breath overhead, hands together. Exhale as you sit back into that squat hold or that chair pose. Make sure that spine is nice and neutral. You can't see my profile here, but the spine should remain in a very neutral position. You're not rounding too much forward or backward. Chest is nice and proud. Shoulder blades pulled back and down. And then deep breath overhead. And what we're going to do here is a balancing movement. So get yourself grounded on the ground. And this is the tree pose. You're going to balance with either the toes on the ground, the bottom of the foot resting against the calf, or you can bring it up to the inner thigh. Whatever you do, just don't press it against the knee joint. That's going to put a little bit of unnecessary strain on that joint. And just try and keep your balance here, breathing, keeping your hips nice and square. And keep everything tall and lifted. And if you want to bring your arms up, make sure you're not shrugging your shoulders. Everything's just reaching up towards the sky. Nice and strong. And breathe. And when you're ready, relax out of that pose and come into the other side. You can always hold these poses longer. Just press pause and hold it as long as you want. And again, you can bring that foot right up to the inner thigh, resting it gently there. To make this move more challenging, you just shift your gaze up towards the sky. And then down again. Let's bring our feet wide here. We're going to do some big wide squats now. So the toes are going to point out slightly. The knees are going to go out towards the feet. And you're going to circle the arms up to the center. Nice and wide, taking nice deep breaths overhead. Down and up. And keep going with those nice wide squats. And you can hold it here for a few deep breaths. And let that out. The next thing we're going to do is a lunge. So I'm going to go sideways here to the camera. And bring one foot forward and then the other foot comes right back. Nice long lunge position. And you want to make sure that when you're lunging, everything's really square. Alright, the front knee isn't tracking too far forward. And to work the shoulders a little bit, you're going to bring the arms wide and then bring the hands together overhead as you lunge down. And keep going and hold it here for a few seconds to increase the challenge. You're going to feel that isometric hold, working the legs, and then switch sides. So bring your other foot forward, other foot back. And again, arms start wide and then up towards the sky as they come together and you lower your body down. And hold it right here. Keep your balance, keep that core nice and strong, body lifted, really tall, and let that out. Deep breath in and exhale. And so now would be a good time to take a little water break. I'm going to grab my water too, take a sip, enjoy some of the ocean breeze that's happening today. Nice big waves. And we're going to run through that first sequence one more time, starting off with the chair pose. So deep breath overhead, hands together. Inhale and then exhale as you sit. Bring your thumbs towards your heart and just hold that chair pose right there. Nice little half squat. Arms can come overhead, but again, avoid shrugging the shoulders. Keep them pulled back and down. And breathe overhead. And here we're coming next again to the tree pose. So level 1, toes on the ground. Level 2, foot on calf. Level 3, foot up in the inner thigh. And switch feet. Again, choose your level, 1, 2, or 3, based on how you're feeling today. And keep that core nice and strong to keep yourself upright. And relax out of that. Coming again to the wide squat. Knees tracking towards the toes. Arms sweep nice big circles up and over. And inhaling as you stand, exhaling as you lower. Hold that pose here for a few counts. Breathing. And let that one out. Alright, next we're coming back to that lunge. So just lowering yourself down and up. Arms come overhead as you lower. And hold that position. And switch legs. Once again. Lowering down and standing up. Lower and stand. And hold in that contracted position, feeling those legs nice and strong below your body, and deep breath up as you let yourself out of that pose. Give your back a little stretch whenever you need it. Stretch out those quads a little bit too if you need it as well. They can get really tight. So next we're going to move to the windmill, and what this is a basic bend over kind of stretch move, and you're going to use your glutes and your hamstrings for a little bit of strength here. So keep your feet wider than shoulder width apart, front toes face outwards, and then the other ones face forward, and the back arm over the leg stays straight up vertical towards the sky, and then the other one just tracks down in front of your front shin. So this one is a really fun move. Take it slow and steady. Bend the knees a little bit if you need to, if you feel any kind of strain or discomfort. So you want to do that a few times on each side. Coming next to a balancing move again. This one's called the dipping duck. So you're going to be keeping that core really strong as you balance on one foot, hinge forward at the waist, trying to keep those hips square towards the ground. And then just reaching down and then standing back up. And just go within your own range of motion. You don't have to get right to the ground. can switch legs right about here. Make sure you keep your core nice and strong throughout the whole movement. Good. All right, next we're moving on to the curtsy squat. So one foot comes slightly behind the midline, and it's basically just like a curtsy. So all you're going to do is bend both knees, going down and then straight up. Try and keep that torso really tall and straight up. Try not to bend forward at the hip. And when you're ready, switch sides. Other leg crosses slightly behind the midline. Down and up, slow and steady. Good. All right. Now we're doing a sideways balance. This one's called a star balance. So again, get your stable footing on your one foot. One arm comes up, other arm reaches down as your leg lifts up in line with the body. So again, just reach as far as you can. You don't have to get right to the ground. Strive to get maybe parallel with the ground. And keeping your core strong, your glutes contracted, and switch sides. Deep breath overhead, get some oxygen flowing throughout the body. So we're coming back next to the windmill. So you can see from the side here that you're bending slightly forward with the body as well as to the side. And just check the angle of the feet. Again, front foot pointing straight forward, other foot pointing out at about 90 degrees. And then switch sides, angling that body down and back up. If it's comfortable, you can take it a little bit slower. All right, great job. Yeah, let's go next to the curtsies. Just cutting right to the curtsy lunges. Lowering down and up. And switch feet. Other foot crosses behind and just curtsy yourself straight down, straight up. All right, here we go. Now we're doing the dipping duck again, folding forward at the hip. Keeping that bottom leg supported. Oh, now we're going to the side. So we're just combining the dipping duck and the star balance. So balancing to the front, standing up, balancing to the side. See how many times you can do this without touching your foot down. It's a good challenge. All right, same thing, other leg. So balancing to the front, reaching down, balancing to the side. Balancing front, and balancing side. Ooh. Lots of fun here. trying to work that body in different ways, moving along different planes of motion, keeping everything really strong. Deep breath in and exhale. Yep, shake it out a little bit. Alright, next we're doing a YT. So this is going to work your upper back, really good for range of motion again. So the thumbs point backwards as you go overhead, backwards, and then palms forward as you do T. Y and T. Now we're doing a W press, so bringing the elbows down so you're making like a W shape, pulling those shoulder blades gently back and down, and then pressing straight up overhead. Alright, now this is a little fun rotator cuff one. So you're going to start with keep your elbows bent at 90 degrees the entire time. You're starting with an open to the side and then a rotation as you lift. So rotate open, lift the shoulders, elbows up and down. Wide, lift, rotate up and down. This one might take a little bit of practice. Rewind the video if you need some help. Good, shake the arms out. And next you can bring yourself down onto your mat. We're going to do a plank row. So what you're going to do is get into a plank position and then just gently row one hand back towards the hip at a time. You can do this from your knees as shown, or you can bring yourself up to your toes, which I'm doing now as well. So lift and row. Really focus on keeping those hips square to the ground, so try not to rock side to side too much. You're going to have a little bit of movement, but not too much. And then when you're ready, just sit back into the child's pose to take a break. Nice deep breaths. And coming up next, we're just going to do some good old push-ups. Pushing down and then sitting back into the child's pose. Coming back to that warm-up push-up. Lowering down, pushing back to the child's pose. Gives you a teeny little break in between each push-up. And to add more challenge, you're going to do a push-up to a downward facing dog. So pick your option, whichever works best for you today. Full push-up from the toes to a downward facing dog, or knee push-ups to a child's pose. And sit back into that child's pose. Take some nice deep breaths. Good. And that's going to be about it for all of the hard work. We're just going to stretch it out now. So if you want to add a little bit of challenge, you can rewind through any of the activities that you enjoyed or that challenged you the most and just do another set of them. That would be no problem. Just add on a little bit more from there. Alright, so here we're going to bring one leg out straight forward from the hip, tuck the other leg in, and then hinge forward, leading with the chest. Keep that spine nice and neutral as you're stretching out the hamstring on the straight leg. And just take nice deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling. And then you can switch legs right here. Good. Next, bring both feet together, knees come wide. Just gently sit down, opening up those hips. Again, keeping that spine neutral, leaning forward slightly if it's comfortable. Always taking nice deep breaths, listening to the ocean sounds. Alright, here we're going to stretch out the quadricep muscle. So grab your top foot, draw it back towards the glute, and stretch out the front of the leg. And then from here, you're going to just tuck one leg in front, other one comes behind, fold your entire body forward, and you should feel a stretch on the front leg right in the glute area. Just go down as low as you can. And bring yourself to the other side, stretching out that other quadricep. again, arrange the legs so that you have one forward and one back, and then just lean your whole body, your whole torso forward onto that front leg and just relax into that stretch. And let's bring one arm across the chest, the other arm helps it out. To stretch out the shoulder. And then switch arms. And one arm comes up and over, reaching that hand down the middle of the back. You can help out that elbow to stretch the tricep. And then switch arms, bring that other arm up. And both palms go towards the ground. Reach one ear towards the shoulder, stretching out that neck, relaxing the shoulders. And then to the other side. Arms open wide, stretching out that chest. And just lift the hands and lower them to feel different stretches in different areas of your shoulders. And once again, you can also bring your hands back and together. And then bring them around forward, rounding that chin down and that upper back stretches. Good, sit up nice and tall. Alright, next we're going to stretch out the hip flexor, so make sure you've got nice square bends in the knees and the hip. And you can just tuck in the tailbone slightly underneath so you feel a stretch in the back leg in the hip flexor. And then bring up that arm if you need to deepen that stretch. But only if you need to deepen it. If it feels good just having the legs set up as they are, then don't add the arm. It's alright. And then what we're going to do next is plant our feet on the ground. See if you can keep your heels on the ground and lower into a deep squat. And then bring up your glutes, stretching out your hamstrings. And relax that upper body down. Deep breath overhead as you stand. And you can lean to one side and then the other. And forward again. Open the arms up nice and wide and give yourself a big pat on the back. Good job. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned next for some foam rollering. Coming right up. Alright, here we are doing some foam rollering in a different location. It's really almost impossible to foam roller on the beach because you need sort of a hard surface. So you can do this on the grass, but like a gym floor or, you know, linoleum, carpet, those are a little bit better. So you're going to start by rolling out the calf area. To increase the pressure on the muscle group, you just cross one leg over the other. And you only want about 5 to 10 passes per muscle group max. So here I'm doing only about 5 or 6 total. And again, with the hamstrings, you're moving on in between the glute and the back of the knee. And just rolling forward and back. If you need it a little bit easier, you can put one foot down to help support you, as shown. And then bring yourself to the IT band area. So cross that top leg up and over and put some weight in the ground there. If it's easy for you, you can just lift both legs up and just roll in between the hip and the knee. Make sure to not go on the hip bone because that will hurt. So you need to stay below the hip bone. You can see a little bit better here. I don't go right up over the hip bone. I just stay in the muscly area. And next we're going to do the quads. So just roll it over onto your shoulders and rock forward and back between the knees and the hips. Gently rolling out those entire big front of the leg muscles. They'll feel really nice once this is done. And move on to your glutes when you're ready. Leaning to the side. You don't want to sit right in the middle on the roller because you can put some pressure on your tailbone. So just keep it to one side or the other. Just gently rocking forward and back. Again, targeting the big muscle groups. Next, move on up to your upper back, starting in the middle of the back and then rolling up to the top of the shoulder blades, but avoiding the neck. And you can just put your arms in different positions if it feels good, and then rest the back of your head on the roller, gently rock your head side to side, always taking nice deep breaths. And that's about it. You can spend more time on the roller if it feels good. Thanks again for watching.